it is. Like literally.
Hello and welcome. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I'd like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. Procyon, one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in the nation. They specialize in employee benefits, wealth management, and retirement planning. President Sean Rabinowitz, proud supporter of our podcast network and everything we do. Green Street Trust International, owned and operated by Rennell Jump and UConn legendary men's basketball player Jake Voskuhl. They specialize in tax plans for businesses large or small. They will save you money or get you a big fat return on your taxes. To schedule your free strategic tax planning session today, go to www.greenstreettrust.com. Pete Finch and the Finch Law Firm is located in Bridgeport, Connecticut. If you've suffered any type of personal injury, slip and fall, car accident, your mother-in-law ran you over with her car, your wife got angry one night and decided to stab you, the Finch Firm is for you. Pete has won legal battles all across the state of Connecticut. He will go to war to get every dollar you deserve in compensation. You just have to remember, in a pinch, call Finch or go to his website, thefinchfirm.com. Dynamic Human Performance is owned and operated by UConn legendary running back Andre Dixon. He trains boys and girls of all ages, all sports. He has a boot camp program 7 days a week, 6 a.m. You want to get in shape, you go to Andre. He has an athletic development program where he trains boys and girls in the sport of their choice from the ground up, helps them reach their full potential, be the best they can possibly be. Andre has sent boys and girls to college on scholarship for all different types of sports. To work with the best, he has a 5,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility in Hartford, Connecticut. Go to www.dynamichumanperformance.com.
All right, and here we are for Broker Than You. I'm your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. With me, as always, the king of real estate in Erie, Pennsylvania, with a new facial hair.
It's not new, it's
brought
grown
the
out
Fu
a little
Manchu
bit.
back. Yeah, but
Well,
I mean, it's the subject now. You have a fan club every week that brings up your facial hair.
We're gonna start. What's that? Kalashi? What's the
They just
gambling
keep track.
site?
They keep track of
What's
it. Yes.
What's he wearing? This is what I like the Fu Manchu when it gets like intensity, and we're getting into. See, my mother got me this shirt. January, February, UConn, and April. You know, it's March Madness, and for marketing, and I would love some feedback from the general public. We used to do March Madness as an open house tournament, and then we'd at the end of March give away a 70-inch TV, $1,500 gift card to a local furniture, John V. Schultz, and it was a great marketing tool. And since there's no inventory, we haven't done open houses in years. I can't figure out what we can do to lean on the March Madness of athletics. Like my dad would go get the newest logo, tie in our March Madness to it. And it was so much fun. And it's like, I don't know, what we can do to replace that as a marketing opportunity when our last name is Marsh and we are full of madness.
Well,
so anybody that can give me some feedback, I owe you a lunch.
Do you have open houses coming up?
No, that we don't even have homes coming up. Like we need inventory, right? The inventory is still so low that I would love an open house. And if you list a home on Monday, by Saturday and Sunday, when the open house would typically be done, it's already sold, and that's been the case for now about 6 years. So, we have not had a March Madness in March for at least 6 years. And that's a marketing thing that played so well into the start of the spring season and basketball. And so now I'm just, I I need some feedback and some ideas for what we can do in this type of real estate market to try to drive a Marsh Madness. But I apologize. We have a special guest with us who has been with us before. Great to have her back, Steve.
Yes, Rebecca Wells Phillips, author, also known as Boo Black, and Rachel Blue. Her website is RebeccaPhillips.com, www.RebeccaWellsPhillips.com. Sorry. And her episode was outstanding.
Thank you.
We had ended up with 25,000 viewers.
Really?
Wow.
And,
That's outstanding.
You guys
not
are
even-
popular.
Well, I think it
I
sounds
told
like it's you.
I told you. Yeah. No, I mean, our episode did good too, but she beat us.
Rebecca, can you tell me with those aliases, right?
Mhm.
When we close real estate deals, you have to list aliases, and I'm sure that's just like a fictional character or whatever else. But
Yes.
I have aliases like Laven, Layman, Layden. They just butcher my name, which is why I have aliases. But are those aliases just characters in each book, or tell me more about those, please?
Oh,
All right,
that's
so-
interesting.
Boo Black came from Hating Self by Boo Black. I wrote about my time growing up in Tennessee in a predominantly white neighborhood, and I didn't want people to know where I grew up, nor did I want them to know my parents. So I used a fake name, which represents the hate I had for myself. So it's like, boo, I'm black. And then Rachel Blue, that was born out of a dream. And it just kind of went together. Like after I decided to do Rachel Blue, BLEU, then it was like someone beating someone black and blue. So yeah, they're not characters. They're actually just my pen names for the adult LGBTQ fiction in my memoir.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, wow, that's a creative way to come up with your pen names.
Well, and I think it can be a marketing opportunity. It also seems like almost an escape, right?
Mhm.
Like you can be someone that you're not
Yes.
necessarily expected to be when you are acting as someone else. It is interesting too, because I think anytime you walk into a room and you read the room, I've always said I'm true to my character, but I am a bit of a chameleon where I know how to adapt to the environment I'm in. But I think that is interesting, and I probably can't even tell that story just because of NCAA potential violations. But yeah, like
There's no NCAA violations.
listen,
You're 48 years old.
I'm 47. Do not date me. But no, listen, I'm down at this track meet, and I'm just volunteering for Callie because her coach is having a baby. And so she wanted me down there to get, and I'm expecting to stand outside the fence. And she's like, no, I'm going to give you a William & Mary track t-shirt. Come on in. And I'm pretty social, especially at track events. And I'm like, okay, I can't identify who I am. I don't want to get kicked out of here if I'm not an official NCAA coach or whatever. The head official of the pole vault, right? Middle-aged black dude comes up to me and he's like, I'm glad you guys are here today, man. I'm an alumni. And I'm sitting here like, oh my goodness. So I want to be courteous, carry on the conversation. I'm like, oh, nice. Did you run track for William & Mary? He's like, no, I played football. Well,
good.
I played football at William & Mary, and I remember I intercepted Mike Cook in 1998 and almost returned it for a touchdown where we ended up beating him. But he graduated in 96. So he was talking a little bit about Mike Tomlin being there and everything else. So I didn't want to take it too deep. I didn't tell him that I played for UConn because I didn't want to, again, reveal anything. And so then he's like, so now are you guys at your home next weekend? I don't know William & Mary's schedule at all. So I'm like, I'm not even sure. We kind of bounce around. And then the coach from Elon, who is in their conference, right? Now, this is the first outdoor meet. I don't know if he knows their coach or not. But his first question to me is, where'd you guys stay last night? Well, I stayed in Winston-Salem because it was
say
an
a
8-hour.
Holiday Inn Express. That's it. That's a standard answer.
So I have to avoid conversation at this meet because I'm not supposed to be on the infield or anything.
Yeah, but the head coach allowed this. He was fine with it.
I'm going to plead the fifth on any acknowledgement of anyone.
So you
knowing
just showed
anything.
up and acted like a parent, basically.
We may have had insight to where I was not doing wrong by William and Mary. So
No,
I
of
just,
course not.
but no, it was, yeah. So I got to meet their head coach, who was super nice. And again, he didn't seem concerned about anything. I mean, what kind of repercussions would there be? But she did win the track meet, but I went back, like, she cleared a height, and she even, like, she hasn't cleared a height that low since like her sophomore year of high school. So as much as it was great to be there and coach her,
she's regressed, you would say?
No. She just didn't have a great day. It was so windy, and I'm not going to make excuses. It was, she won the meet. Yeah, she won the meet, and it just wasn't a great day. But the fact of the matter was, and she even said, I would have probably rather no heighted than give that mark. It was just a low mark and not a big deal. But we had fun. It really was a great experience, and literally was 6 years to the day of Friday the 13th that I was supposed to coach her at high school nationals before the pandemic shut everything down, March 13th of 2020. So it was literally 6 years to the day that I was supposed to coach her on my own, didn't get a chance to. And so this was literally the first time I had coached her since I was an assistant at McDowell in high school. So it was such a great opportunity. Yeah. Fresh, good to see you. And then after the meet, I had dinner with Fresh.
I know.
It was awesome.
Awesome. As I stated, I resent you for that.
And I felt bad, dude. I wish we should have FaceTimed to show you how good the food was. I know. We had a great time.
Where'd y'all eat? Yeah. Where'd y'all eat at?
Fresh.
It was Stony River Steakhouse.
Yeah, Stony River in Chapel Hill.
In Chapel Hill. Yeah. So, yeah, you like the food, Labe? It was good.
Oh, it was good. Those steak egg rolls and
egg rolls,
shrimp on toast, and the fillet. Yeah, man. Fresh knows how to set it up.
Must have been a real nice time. That's good.
Yeah. We had a nice talk, man. It was good. But yeah, I was reliving. He was sharing the same story with me. It was funny how you just kind of go with the flow. You figure it out. You get things done. Which is kind of like it's a good segue also into like business stuff, is that sometimes you have to, I don't want to say it's not really a fake it till you make it kind of thing, but it's sometimes you have to get
comfortable being uncomfortable, dude.
Well, of course. Yeah.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable, and you have to just kind of have like a figure it out kind of on the fly.
Solutions oriented.
Yeah. But at the same time, one of the things that Laban probably he didn't talk about, but it's just natural, like, in his aura, how he handles things. When you're professional at something and you're really good at something, right? And you do it, you're confident, right? Mm-hmm. He didn't feel, right? I would say you didn't feel out of place, even though you were at the, right?
Right. No, in fact. Right. And in fact, I think just because I always listen to other coaches to see how they coach their kids, if it's the same technique and things. And once I got in there, I'm vocal. And so if you know anything about the pole vault, I'm not, I have knowledge of the event.
You can talk the lingo.
Right. So I didn't even think about that, Fresh. I wasn't nervous at all about coaching a collegiate athlete. It was trying to be incognito while doing it. And for me, especially in the pole vault, I want to know more about everybody. How'd you get your start? All this stuff. And I had to stand there quietly. It was more painful.
Did you work with any of the other pole vaulters?
No. And that was so here's what happened was, their throwers went. The whole team didn't go. It was just their throwers, and then Callie was the only pole vaulter. They have male and female pole vaulters, but it was kind of like an optional meet because it was outdoors.
It was outdoor meet. It was the outdoor
and season. What Callie had been saying is that in practice, she will tend to run through, meaning you don't take the jump up, you run through because you're nervous about your step or whatever.
Right.
But she knows of her own self now. She's been jumping 10 years, right? She knows that in a meet, like she just will plant the pole and go because she has that drive and that ability. And it's almost like if it's not serious enough, she's just gonna which it's in, you know, you got to get through that. Like you have to be, especially in college, you have to be able to motivate yourself. And this is true, Fresh, like you're saying in business. Like, dude, it feels like when you're in business, especially startup phase, like no, not only is nobody around, you have zero people cheering for you, encouraging you. And honestly, like Callie knows the pole vault. I basically said, yeah, okay, go, you know, yeah, that sounds good. This is where your step was. You know, I think there was a time where I'm like, I like you on that pole. And she's like, I got to go to a bigger pole when I go to 7. Like she knows herself well enough as an athlete. She just needed someone there that had the encouragement behind her, that told her, you know, hey, you've got this. You're going to be great. We all need that. And I think that's what you try to elicit when you market, right? You're trying to create a raving fan that regardless of your circumstance, they're going to support you in your effort. And that's where I'm so thankful that Callie was willing to ask me. I mean, at first she's like, hey, would you want to come coach me? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm thinking a couple hours away. She's like, Elon University. I look it up. It's an 8-hour drive. And she even said, we got to have lunch afterwards. And she said, you know, I was so nervous about asking you because I knew it was a long trip, but I also knew that you might say yes. And that is better for me. And I know Fresh and I were talking about this too, because he came from a poorly run track meet, which is why our dinner was a little later. So he understands it. But man, when you have somebody that is self-assertive and even to the point where they ask you for help, and this is a frustrating thing for me in business. Like my mother will go to lunch with anybody. I would go to lunch with everybody. I don't know everything. But most people are willing to help you if they've been through it before and you're saying, hey, I'd love a hand up. People will be willing to help, and we just have to be willing to ask. And so I'm so thankful for Callie. And one of those things she said that Coach Sanford and I instilled in her is the confidence to be aggressive, or maybe not aggressive, assertive with officials. Because her first attempt at opening height, she threw the pole away and the pole came and knocked the bar off. Okay, now I get heated. And then I have to tell myself, hey, dude, you're not supposed to be here. Please don't go getting thrown out of a meeting.
Yeah, don't make a scene.
Yeah. And then she ended up clearing it on her second attempt. But it was something where you've got to stand up for yourself, right? I think when no one else is around and you know the product you have is saleable, then go sell it, you know? And then once you can get a couple raving fans behind you, and we've talked about this before, quit looking for new clients when you have existing raving fans that would love to help support your business, right? Turn to the people who have already used you and lean on them for, you know, a testimonial or something like that. So I've talked too much already, but Fresh, it's great to have you. Rebecca, great to have you. Let's get into it.
But you're right. I mean, referrals are incredible. They're the easiest and best way for businesses to get new clients. And you have a stamp of approval coming from someone they trust. So they're much more likely to sign on with you.
Well, and I tell people as the recipient of a referral, like you have such a level of expectation to meet for the person to whom they referred you to. You know what I mean? So I think that I tell the clients who've been referred, like you should be treated even better, even though you should treat everybody the same. Like when it's a referral, you take extra care of it because you not only want to be good to the client, you want to be good to the person who referred it to you. Otherwise, you're not going to get any more, you know?
Exactly. If they have a poor experience with it, for sure.
I mean, that's definitely true. So just touching on what, to kind of tie this into some, you know, I think this kind of relates a lot to like just different kind of tools and specifically on a tip for like marketing. So your biggest tool and your best tool should be your experience, your knowledge, right? So you as a professional, right? If you have the confidence to be able to go and do something, right? Like there's like, you know, we both have, or all of us may have other things that we are really good at that we may not do for money per se, right? But at the same time, that same things that we do that we're passionate about, ideally you want to be doing something career-wise where you are as passionate if possible and you take that same, or at least take the same mindset that you would have for your passion project and put that into business. So if you have a similar passion to what you're doing for a business or for a or for something that you're trying to generate income with, then you'll have a greater chance of having success. So I would say, in terms of your best tool for one is you, right? You need to make sure you continue to sharpen that saw, right? Sharpen your saw, sharpen yourself as to be able to perform to the best of your ability, so that when not if you are called, but when you're called upon, you're going to be called upon for the expertise that you have, right? And at some point, you need to be able to perform when it happens, right? Laban was called on to coach, right? And he was asked, right? And he stepped up to the plate. Just like when someone calls and, when you get that referral, you're basically being called upon to say, hey, I was referred to you that you are the best at what you do, or you're really good, that you're the person to talk to. So you want to prove the people that referred you want to prove them right. And you want to have the mindset, in my mind, to over deliver. And to be able to do that, you have to continue to just build yourself up, build the things you have as a business professional, entrepreneur, and things of that nature. And which will lead me to my next thing, which I think we should touch on, is taking care of yourself, kind of putting the oxygen mask on yourself first. So, which a lot of people, like a lot of us, help, right? Everybody up here has this kind of spirit or this nature to be helpful, right? Steve, you're very helpful with so many people. Laban, you're helpful. And then sometimes. Rebecca, if I'm not mistaken, I remember from our last show, you were very helpful.
Yes.
And if you would share how either you have put the oxygen mask on yourself to help yourself, to sharpen your saw, to build yourself up to be the best. I don't want to say the word tool as you can, but to be the best that you could be at what you're trying to do, or how you can be better at it, right? Either this is what I have done, or this is what I need to do.
I'm always learning. Everything that I've done, I've had to research, Google. I don't have authors in my circles as far as people I can depend on. So just starting out, I had to learn everything on my own, which is fine.
It's a different industry too, right?
Yeah. Writing books is difficult in that there's not a guide, really. I mean, you can follow rules and procedures, but it's
not like Stephen King's going to call you and say, hey, no. Rebecca, I got some advice for you.
Exactly. So I just kind of I write what I know, I write what I experience, and I try to get people who normally don't read to read. And so for me to do that, I just have to keep writing and keep plugging, and I ask for feedback and reviews. And right now, I only have 18 reviews on Hurricane Helene resiliency after the storm, and I depend on those reviews.
On Amazon or Google?
Yeah, on Amazon. So I just always ask people for feedback, good, bad, ugly. I don't care. That's the only way I'm going to learn and to improve. And so that's where I am. That's how I sharpen my tools, is by other people telling me what they do and don't like.
Yeah, and I think that's great feedback to get. And you should have more than 8 book reviews. So 18, I think 18. Sorry.
Come on.
But yeah, that's
well, Rebecca.
I just got yelled at by Joe D for an hour. So please.
Is there any way to those testimonials? Is that somebody that you reached out to, or is there any way to get in contact with them for them to either elaborate, or you know what I mean? It's because most of the feedback we get, we've dealt with the people, right? It's a client we've had face to face. Whereas for you may have never met your customers, or right?
Correct.
And so I think that's a challenge, just because there's so many different viewpoints and ways to look at something. But is there a way to engage those who have already stepped forward and given you feedback, good, bad, or indifferent? And then what are the ways that you can elicit, more feedback? Is it posing different questions? Like, is there any, because it's interesting how Fresh mentioned my confidence when I get in a pole vault arena. Like when you get into like that flow state of writing, what is it about the writing that helps you to flow? Is it a topic, you know what I mean, specifically that you think you're serving the general public with? What, because that's what it sounds like. You don't know everything, but what you know about and write about, that enhances people's perspective, right?
Right.
So what are some of the things that get you into that flow state or help you really thrive in what you're doing, right?
Right. It's the people talk to me and they tell me their stories, and a lot of times that's the catalyst for me thinking, oh, I need to talk about this. And as far as people giving me feedback, I always constantly on social media tell people you can always leave a review on Amazon, even if you didn't purchase the book through Amazon. It just won't be a verified purchase. But also on social media, I ask people for feedback through Facebook, Substack, Blue Sky. I mean, all these things. And I even get like little text messages or messages that give me feedback. So I'm constantly just keeping my eyes and ears open. I'm very interested in world events. I have a broadcasting background, so a lot of the things going on in the world will trigger the ideas for books, but mostly it's sometimes the dreams that I have.
I remember you saying that before, which that was what I was going to get to. It's like, because I think the last time we talked about a notepad by the bed or something, I was like, I can barely remember my dreams, let alone be able to reiterate that into a, thoughtful thing to read.
Yeah.
So tell me more about the dream. How often do you wake up from a dream and have a compelling story from it?
It's funny because when I'm working on a book, I don't have them, but the ideas for the book came through the dream. So after I have a dream, and sometimes it'll take more than one time having it and it's similar, and I'm like, okay, I obviously need to write about it. And so as soon as I start writing on that topic from that dream, then I don't have any more, I guess, until I finish. So
see, that to me that's probably more fascinating to me than anything. I mean, because I think of it as like an actor or a character in a role who lives that role in his lifestyle because he doesn't want to get out of it. So that's interesting that once you have the topic and start writing, you're not influenced by that dream until completion, it seems. That's really interesting.
Yeah. Now that you ask me that, no one's ever asked me that question. I've never really thought about it, but that seems to be the deal.
And so, wow. I mean, they would almost say that, hey, if you start having these dreams again, that project is finished, or button it up because it's time to move to something different. It's just interesting to me as to when what is your inspiration or what starts a new book. I mean, I know you've written almost a book a year, right? Over the last 4 years or something?
Yeah, it's been almost like two. But like I said, with Dragonfly Passion, I'm waiting on copyright, but it's done. And then I was going to do Lift Our Voice, Abuse Survivors Speak Their Truth, but it's very painful. That's a very painful topic. And with Jeffrey Epstein stuff going on, it's going to be next year. So it'll be more like one book a year.
Hurricane Helene 2 said as well.
Yeah, but it's on that one.
No, it's interesting that you say that, though, because, and I don't know if this is true for Steve, and I don't think Fresh has had the same head trauma. But I remember when I started, like, I read Beneu Malu's book and then Chris Nowinski's books, both on head trauma and the effects of concussion. And I found myself just down that rabbit hole of darkness where I literally had to stop researching because and this is kind of like when you write a book, it's done. Like, they can give you feedback, but you can't necessarily go change the book. And I think that's where I feel like with that head trauma, it's like I can learn more about what I'm going to end up with or what I have to deal with. But I think you become what you think about. And I had to get out of that space because it would take. So I totally understand. At least that's what it seems as a parallel for me. Because again, I think that's something where those traumas, it's like you just want to avoid it. And even for me, like I was talking recently to someone about that car accident, and it was just like that was my last concussion, and I didn't even realize I had a concussion. But every time I drive over that bridge, I recollect that instance where my life almost ended, and it's crazy how you can get into different. You smell different smells, hear a song on it, and the recollections that it brings. And when it's positive recollection, oh man, it feels great, and you can get in that flow. But as soon as you have that reminder of a PTSD type situation, it's amazing how the physiologically your body shifts. Like when I was driving home and my hands start getting sweaty over that bridge.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. It's a weird physiological change to your body when things that have happened in the past get reminded. And so that is very interesting. How if there is stuff going on that reminds you too much, you have to go a separate way. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and the time and the money and the interviews that she put in to Hurricane Helene was just incredible, and the stories that she got out of it. It really is it's a magnetic book. I mean, it's something that you have to really, like I said, I don't think you'll truly understand it unless you experienced it. But when you read about it, it's mind blowing. Because I told her after the first episode we did, I watched the documentary on her Katrina, and I could not believe that. I mean, it was unbelievable that these people for a week, were without anything and got no help from the government. And President Bush at the time comes on and he makes a statement. It's for 5.5 seconds. Listen to your local and county law enforcement, and they'll tell you what to do. Bye. Peace out. So that's what you got. That's all you're gonna give them. I couldn't believe that. And the governor and the mayor became a scapegoat.
Yeah, and that's tough. And I think that's where going back to like having people at your back just for encouragement. And how many people have said if you're leaning on the government, man, just keep waiting.
They knew though. That's what bothered me.
Listen,
dude. They knew what was going to happen.
And that's the worst part about all of it is that like I feel like we're only let into about 10% of what they really want you to know.
Of course.
But I think that's you only have so many resources. But and then you have some people that won't believe it because of the boy who cried wolf, and that's a lot of what I'm concerned about with the federal government is that you've got a ton of people now just suspicious of all of it, especially when you talk about the Epstein thing and who did what or who knew what or whatever else. I just and that's where I try to just stay local. I mean, you have the effects of the federal government and things like that, and even on a local level, there's only so much they can do. But you've got to have people in your corner in those instances to help, not only with the encouragement of, hey, it'll get better, but actually being there to help. And that's where small communities are great about that. But it is frustrating when you think, listen, the role of the government is really to keep streets clean and, all that. And they're not doing the basic necessities of what they're really made for.
But Fresh, I don't know if you've seen the documentary, but it's Spike Lee did it. It was in 4 parts, and
I think it's a while back, right? So I feel like I've seen it. It's kind of removed from it, but I'm familiar with the whole situation and how it happened around the time. That's when the whole, when Kanye. I don't know if y'all remember, it was Kanye was like,
yes,
George Bush doesn't like black people, and then what was the guy who played Austin Powers?
Mike
yeah,
Myers.
Mike Myers.
Mike Myers was stuck. He saw his face. He was just like, "What just happened?" And then they switched the screen, so you know.
Yes, on the news. Yes.
Yeah, they were doing like some kind of like
yes.
They was doing like a telethon or some kind of like fundraiser.
Yeah.
And then Kanye said that, and Mike Myers is just his eyes went. He was like deer in the headlights. He was stuck, and then they switched, and then so it's just one of those things where it's a tough situation. But I think this all ties back into like traumatic experiences. I think trauma comes in many different shapes and sizes, and you have certain events that bring on trauma, like unfortunately, like what we have right now, right? We have hurricanes, right? And then we're currently right now we have war. There's trauma that's happening, right? Because and there's trauma for the people on, for Americans, and there's right now it's more direct trauma for people in these Middle Eastern countries that are being bombed, and which is just because people just just being, for lack of better terms, just being control freaks, if you will. Like they just want to control and want to have more of what they have and want you to have less just because of who you are. It's just what it is. In certain countries are, again, I ain't trying to get you, I don't want to get this thing flagged. So I think we know which countries, which people, a lot of people say what country is pulling the strings. And unfortunately it was said beforehand, and now it seems like, and people's like, no, it's not, but it's kind of points more and more likely that's what was actually happening, people pulling strings in. But to the point of trauma, it's leading to a lot of trauma for a lot of people.
Yeah. And
to see what's happening, destruction, what's happening. And again, we've had conversation before, I've talked to Steve, Labe, I'm a humanitarian at heart. So I'm about human beings first. I don't care about, and I will say, I lean on and that's because of my faith as a Christian.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what the
I lean on my
says.
faith, but it doesn't matter what someone's faith is, because you're a human. And then, especially as the Bible says, you should love your neighbor as you love yourself, right? The person here, because God, that was the point. Like God is like, how are you supposed to love me as in love the Lord if you can't love the person right next to you that looks like you, that you see on a regular basis, somebody who you can't see, touch, or really hear? You're supposed to say you have love for them? No, love that person. If you can show love for that person, then you can show love for me, because you don't even know me like that. So my thing is having that common touch, caring for people. I value that over pretty much everything else. And those things, and that's is troublesome that people have to go through trauma, because many people don't kind of see the world that way. It's like people want to have caveats behind things. I'm like, human beings are human beings, and that's what's kind of tough.
No, and they shouldn't have to.
Well, but we do have to recognize, because one of the things you even opened with is the oxygen mask on yourself.
Yeah.
And there are some people that have been, whether they've been through trauma or not, where you can't have them in your circle to stay positive. Like they are just, it does not matter. They bring negativity into a situation. And if it happens frequently enough, it's different to be compassionate, in my opinion, because again, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Fresh. But then I realize that there are some people who just will leech and like Satan in the flesh, almost like, this isn't good for your mindset or anything else. And I'm not saying empathetic, but I'm just saying, like, you do have to protect yourself if you know that there are certain individuals or scenarios that are just not good for your mindset, right? And I don't know how to explain it, because I agree with you, Fresh. Humanitarian, without a doubt, like everyone is God's children, but some of God's children don't serve that same God, and so you just have to protect yourself from that.
For sure. I mean, I think to touch on, I mean, I know how to explain it. It's both things can be true. right?
I agree.
So both things can be true, and that's okay. And I think you are 100% correct that you have to protect yourself, right? So you have to protect yourself.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean like you can love someone from a distance. You can care about someone from a
100%.
distance,
Yeah.
right? If someone is in dire straits, you can still help them up. You can still make sure that person, somebody's falling off a cliff, you can help them up.
Right.
Now, if somebody is standing on the ledge, you got to know that if somebody's standing on a lower ledge of the cliff and acting like they're falling just to pull you in and pull you over, now you got to be aware of your environment, your surroundings, the nature of people, and understand to not put yourself in those things. And that's not always the easiest thing to do. So again, like touching back when you're saying like putting this oxygen mask on yourself, it's very important that you know that you don't let the world and worldly things that people do, right? And the traumas that they bring stop you from being human, from being humane, right? Because it's not gonna stop you from being human, but stop you from being humane. Because a lot of times we go, all right, this person burned me, so I'm not gonna deal with people. Not instead of I'm not gonna deal with people like that. They go, I'm just not dealing with people. And unfortunately, that's what happens when you have or I'm not gonna deal with those people. And that's where you have problems with like race and discrimination, because people go like they had one bad experience and they let that one bad experience because it brought them trauma.
That's right.
Is we all want, right? And I was just looking this up before. So what we all are, and what social media pushes on us and everything is like we all are chasers of dopamine. Those dopamine hits are great. We love them.
100%, dude.
Right? But we're not enthused and excited about going for the what would people call the opposite hormone, which would be serotonin, I believe, right? So we're not trying to do, we're not looking for serotonin. No. We're not looking for that.
Because it takes
so
too
something
long.
That's going to give us that, we don't really want that. So we're like, look, no, give me the dopamine.
Dopamine.
Well,
right? So, and I think that's that's where it is. But you have to be aware that, hey, everything is not about the dopamine. Everything is not about excitement. Everything is not about that, right? Sometimes you do need to rest, which is what the serotonin brings. And sometimes everything happens for a reason. Sometimes those things that you see is a warning for you not to either become that person or you're not to allow yourself to fall victim to it. But do not let it encompass you. Like what you mentioned before, how like you were doing the research, you read the books and as it pertained to head trauma. And maybe this happened with you, Rebecca, as you were doing your research, following up on the things as it pertains to certain traumatic events that you've experienced, and unfortunately you experienced some events that could be more than enough for some people's lifetime. And in your short time here, is that sometimes you get so engulfed in these in the trauma and what happened that you lose yourself in the trauma, that you get so stuck in the trauma instead of what I would say is I encourage people to find the lesson. What's the lesson in this trauma? Like, what's the lesson? What are you supposed to be learning from this trauma? Because I don't think God has not created all of us to like, yeah, you're just supposed to go through this and struggle. Like you're supposed to be reminded of this every time. Like every time you cross that bridge, you're supposed to go through traumatic stuff, Labe, and you're supposed to freak out. No, that's not what's supposed to happen. It's supposed to be a lesson. Like, what did I learn from this? This is what I learned. I learned that life is precious. I learned that I'm not promised tomorrow. I appreciate every day. Right. So those are the things. Those are the lessons.
Yeah.
Not to focus on the thing. But yeah, go ahead.
And I think one of the greatest things my father ever told us boys, and I have 3 brothers, is don't let circumstances dictate your character. And I think that is true in so many of those instances where, especially if you're in a bad headspace from whatever else. And I guess I think about this a lot with my own kids. You know what I mean? Like if I'm frustrated after a certain business situation and I become short with my kids, and it's like, it's not fair to the kids, but it's also just reining that in, and again, understanding you can't let circumstances dictate your character. If you preach your character to be, a humanitarian and God following and God fearing, then you need to be more understanding and more empathetic with people. That doesn't mean, engross yourself with their circumstances. You know what I mean? Especially if you have issues like I do, where it's like, you got to tread lightly, because I'm so empathetic. I can position myself in that individual, and it breaks me down, because I just don't understand how somebody could go through that and still come out,
on the other side.
Yeah. And I mean, and I remember, and I just saw something from Renee Rodriguez when my wife and I went down to learn about, public speaking and everything. One of the guys that was there was an intimate group of 10. He started telling a story about when he was younger, and he lost his brother, hung himself accidentally in a tree, and he was like 4 or 5 years old, and he was out looking for his brother, and apparently was like trying to wake him up and move the body, to where then he went inside, and the parents are like, "Hey, where is your brother?" And he, as a 4 or 5 year old kid, said, "Oh, I don't know." And then the police are like, "Well, somebody moved the body," and all this other stuff. And he's telling this story with me having 2 boys the same age of him and his brother. Bro, I mean, I broke down right as he's telling the story, and he was I couldn't, and even my wife was there, and so she kind of had to explain why I was breaking down, because I envision my own kids going through this trauma, and I'm like, bro, I don't even know, how are you 55 years old and still that would have killed me. And so I think that's where it's a good thing to be empathetic and understanding, but you still have to be cautious of your own vulnerability. Because again, now some people, like the EMT, bro, I could never come up on somebody with an injury where their legs straight and their foot side. Like I can't do it. So we are all built differently, and it is important to expose yourself to some, uncomfortable situations. But if you know it's going to take you down a bad road, I have to avoid it. And so with some of that trauma and stuff, it's not good to keep it in. It's good to talk about it, of course, but recognizing some of those triggers, if you will, I think is important, because going back to the oxygen mask, like, bro, you got to take care of yourself. And if there's things that take you in such a bad place that it gives you a hard time recovering the rest of the day and treating people the way they should be treated,
right?
You have to find what makes you tick. And I think it's okay to let people know, hey, listen, I'd love to be with you on that, but that just takes me into such a bad direction. I'll pray for you about it, but I can't be that close to it almost.
Yeah, that goes back to that goes back to like just even our playing days. Like almost every coach will tell you, like especially if you play a position like a leadership position on the field, like know your personnel, right? You always want to know your personnel. You need to know what you're dealing with, just like how you have to know, like, this is how this person functions. Like I gotta spin the ball this certain way, or I have to, like, even when certain athletes, like you can yell at them and there's no biggie. Some athletes, if you raise your voice,
they go on the tank.
They think they took it as if you just raised it. They took it as if you were yelling. So you have to know your personnel and know how to navigate with them. And so it's very important that you just definitely know your personnel. And I know you wanted to jump in late. I want to segue to something. I think it has to deal with dealing with trauma and dealing with in business and all this stuff is knowing, is being a part of knowing how to when you're saying like the trauma, like you're saying, get help, talk to someone and things like that. You got to have people and be a part of things that can help you do that. And being a part of a group. So finding someone that you can share with, or someone that can pour into you to help you. And again, so going back to, we started talking about this when Rebecca, you were talking about I asked you the question about, how have you how have you built yourself up? What things you've done or you feel like you should do? And you had mentioned something about not having, like, you just kind of feel like you're on your own. You don't know a bunch of authors and things like that. One of the things is knowing your personnel and understanding resources. I just shared in the chat. just 2 Facebook groups that I just happened to pick up. I don't know if you saw it in the chat.
I put her posts in both Facebook groups last week,
good.
and they did very well.
Yeah. So I don't know if you're a part of these groups.
Yes,
Rebecca,
I should tell her. Yeah,
but you should. There's
invite her to
groups,
join.
and I happened to look at one of them. One of my frat brothers, who's a doctor, PhD. He's written a number of books.
Yeah,
is in one of the groups. So it's just one of those things that sometimes you have to put yourself in position to where you're around people that can be of assistance. And sometimes, like, so, you know, if you have like these, these peer groups and where you can grow and build and share, that can be the resources that you need when you're like, oh, I'm not, like, you're self-published or you're doing this. And some people may say, hey, you actually got a gym here, but it's in the wrong places, and somebody can expose you and put you out there. So I think sometimes maybe stepping outside of your comfort zone and putting yourself in places where you have an opportunity for iron to sharpen iron, where someone else can help sharpen that saw that you have and help you help you do those things.
Right. And I've done a few things where I went to like a book conference, the Blue Ridge Christian Writers Conference, a couple years ago, and I joined the Flatirons authors group in Asheville. I've done, networking on alignable.com and things like that.
Yes.
And it's difficult because writers are very private, and it's hard to share because there's so many people out there that want to take.
They want to steal your work. Yeah.
Exactly. So all of
Your
us
ideas.
have this feeling like we can't trust you. Like we can't say, hey, will you read this page? Because you may run off with that page, So I think it's just very difficult for authors in general to seek help.
Yeah. And I should post some of her clips too.
Yeah.
In those.
But I would say, and again, like, I'm going to give you a little pushback on this, Rebecca, just because what happens is one of the things we all know, right? We're going to hear a lot of athlete jargon because we're former athletes. What is one thing, and they'll finish it for me, right? Never play. What
Slow.
the coach will tell you? Never play this way. Which way can you never play?
Slow.
Timid.
Scared.
Yeah.
Right? He said timid. Right? You can't play scared, right? So you can't go in having a negative mindset like, we're gonna lose, right? Or this kid's just too good, I can't cover him. Or if you think you're gonna lose, you already lost, right? So if you already go like, I can't, if I go in here and I share, someone's gonna take it.
Well, but I've already been scammed. I've already had these things happen, and I try not to put everybody into this group, but I've been burned so often that I'm scared at this point to trust anyone.
But fear should not be what drives you. Now fear should help build up your discernment. Now you have discernment. Yeah. You know what scam looks like.
I do.
And now you want to put yourself in position so you know what help looks like. You know what mentorship looks like. Because everybody should have a mentor, right? Yeah. Everybody should have a mentor, somebody they could turn to and go, hey. And a mentor, like what, when Laban's talking about, I'll go to lunch, his mother will go to lunch with anybody. He'll go to lunch with anybody. If he's de facto saying that, I don't have a problem mentoring somebody if they show that they're worth being mentored. That's it. And if you show that, you know what? I'm a dedicated person, and I think your work speaks for itself from a standpoint that you've done this stuff on your own. You may just need, and a lot of times we're one relationship away from one relationship. So all that says to you is that you need more relationships. Now, you want to put yourself in the right place. Like, so one of the group, I think the first group I put up there is like authors.
I put her in that group. Yeah.
Right. So it's authors for authors. So it's not like
there's that
you're alignable and then you're talking with someone who might be a connection. It's like the chances of you, and I think it's like 62,000 people in that group.
That
it's
one
highly likely that you could meet someone.
The Black Authors Network is
then the Black Authors is another one. It's 10,000 in that one. So between they're
groups, more supportive as opposed to wanting to take your work.
But my whole point is that you have to put yourself like you have to be in the room where it happens, right?
Right.
You know, just kind of steal a line
That
from
is true.
Hamilton. I don't know anybody.
Dude, they
seen
say
Hamilton?
you're well. I have not, but listen, they
Yeah.
do say is that
Like
your
Alexander
network.
Hamilton.
Yeah, Alexander Hamilton. It's the play. So it's
There's a play
it's
about
really,
him.
yeah.
Bro,
You got to be in the
are
room
you
where it happens.
serious? That's
Yo,
Why
like
is there a play about
4 or
Hamilton?
5 years ago.
Yo,
Is he the
you
one
gotta-
that was in the duel?
Wait, oh, you said yeah. Were
Did
you
he win
saying?
the
Are you
duel?
serious to Steve? Lane?
Yeah, I am
Yeah.
serious. He was in a
Hamilton-
duel with that guy.
Steve, you got to get you.
Er?
You never seen Hamilton?
No, I
I
haven't
haven't
Hamilton.
seen it, but I know.
I didn't even know it
about
existed.
I think you could go on. I think Disney Plus or Hulu
Oh.
or something. Check it out.
Oh, they
What is
It's
it? A
on-
musical?
Yeah, but it's
Oh, I don't wanna
different.
see
It's
that.
not. No, see, this is. It's by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Like it's.
Oh, I like him. He was
yes.
in,
See,
Curb
that's
Your
why you like. First,
Enthusiasm.
you're like, no, it's a. It's,
Well,
it's-
I don't know. I know him because he was in Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's why I
Yeah.
know. But I
So-
know he's
he's a writer, right?
Yes, I know
yeah,
he's
yo,
a
he done.
theater
like-
guy.
I mean, not saying you be in it. I got kid late. We got kids. So you know, Moana. He's done Moana.
Oh yeah.
He did all of
Oh.
the soundtrack for Moana.
Oh,
Yeah.
So he's done that. He did a bunch of other stuff. So he did the play In the Heights. He's done Hamilton. He's done a bunch of stuff. Like he,
Oh,
yeah,
Okay.
like he's so
He's
I was
pretty
just saying,
well
like
known.
that was a
That's
line
what
from
you're
there. You know, you got to be in a room. He was in a room where it happened. Like talking about like basically, you know, he's one of the founding fathers of this country. So you got
I
to
knew that part. I knew that. I just didn't know there was a play about him. I
Yeah,
knew
but
he was
people
in
don't
the
know.
duel.
I had no idea. You learn through art how impactful he
Oh, he was huge
on the-
at the
on the
writing
founding
of the
of this, you know what I'm
Declaration
saying,
of
like-
Independence and the Constitution, all that.
Yeah,
all right,
all
let
that.
me
So-
let me get this in. We'll be right back.
yeah.
Down south, we have Julius Williams, Jordan Harris, and the rest of the team of the Trench Mob. They train offensive and defensive linemen. They compete in 5v5 tournaments and college showcase camps all across the country. They have sent kids to schools like Florida, Florida State, Miami, Clemson, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, just to name a few. They have sent the highest percentage of kids who work with them to Division I schools on scholarship. To work with the best, go to trenchmobfootball.com. Nedvonne Young runs the FreshFold Laundry Company in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, a high-end laundry service. You book online, put your laundry out in a clear plastic bag. They pick it up, wash, dry, and fold it for you in 48 hours. They also offer an expedited service if you need that as well. They have an online subscription model, weekly or bi-weekly, where you can get your laundry done that way. They offer deals for college students. So if you want your laundry done, you can do it in your own dorm. They have a pickup and now a delivery service. So you can have your laundry done without leaving the comfort of your own home or dorm room. To sign up, go to their website, my-freshfold.com.
All right, there's 2 weeks in a row. Very well done. Very well done.
Oh, love it.
I had wanted to ask because Rebecca, you know, we got a very good response. The one of the targets I had for your episode was South Carolina, and a South Carolina podcast network wanted to run your episode.
Yay.
So I think that's great, and I think that is
Thank you.
huge for, like I said, I think the biggest thing we need to do is help raise awareness of the book. And
Yes.
you had mentioned some of the states, so I was going to do South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, try to hit those three first, and then work out from there. But I think the South Carolina people messaged us on Instagram, and they were very excited
Yay.
about the book and the show that we did.
Thank you.
So that's, I mean, that's huge. That's huge publicity to be able to get that. And we'll continue to look at different states and different areas that we can go to that the hurricane impacted.
Mhm.
And I think that'll make a huge difference.
Yes.
Being on that network, they have a lot of viewership, so I think that will be big. That will be big.
Definitely.
But I mean, have you done any like speaking work, any consulting work for either other writers or speaking about Hurricane Helene anywhere else?
I will help writers in that I'll be like an ARC reader and I'll do
Right.
edits or suggestions, or they'll text me things, or on the down low. As far as any speeches or any official, no, because I guess in people's minds, I mean, I'm not a first responder, I'm not a celebrity, I'm not any of these things. And even though I've done my best to let people know that I wrote this book and I have background and knowledge of what went down, nobody's interested in me, Steve. You guys are the only
Yeah.
ones that have shown any interest in me, and I really appreciate it.
But like there has been certain events that have happened have tried to raise money for victims of Hurricane Helene, and
I go to those.
you have not been asked to
No,
take
I'll
part and
go.
speak or anything.
Nope, people will tell me about it, and I'll go and I'll show support, and I'll take a book and let people know or whatever. But
Yeah.
no,
Fresh, is that something like where she could get involved and reach out to the organizer and say, hey, I wrote this book and I'd like to speak. I have experiences recorded and documented from all these people that I can share and I can present.
Yeah, I think yes, it could be something you could reach out to. So what it is that you're probably gonna have to get a little bit out of your comfort zone, Rebecca, and just try, right? It don't hurt to try, right? Like Lady was talking about with Callie. She tried, she asked, and she got a yes, right? So the thing is, what you're gonna do when you get that yes, because it's coming. You're gonna get the yes, right? So, but you have to be prepared, right? Like how we talked about. You just have to make sure that you are ready to perform when the opportunity presents itself. So what I would just off the top of my head was going through my mind just as we were talking about that and you were sharing that and Steve asked a question was, you have to ask yourself a few questions, and I think it will help give you some direction on how to move. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions is, who could benefit from this book? Who tends to benefit the most from a book like this? What kind of people? Survivors. Right? So if you answer, you can answer that question, I give you some direction. The events that this book is about, right? And you can answer this question to everybody right now is it a one-time event or is it a reoccurring event?
It's a reoccurring all around the world.
So here's the thing. Anything that's reoccurring has
relevance
and an opportunity to have, to be monetized and everything, right? Even if it's just not about the monetization for you, but the fact that there's a whole hurricane season, right? We have a hurricane season, which means, and there's places that are most impacted by hurricanes.
Yes.
Usually along the coast, and you can speak to a number of people because there's certain things you just can't escape. Now you can have, then you got to ask, okay, there's direct ways I can go about approaching things, and then there's indirect ways. So what was the like ripple effect of the hurricane? Like, how does it impact people? How does it impact municipalities? How does it impact them? And you can kind of get involved with other stuff, right? The things that happen, right? People have utilized resources from sandbags to things about insurance, from flood insurance to how about claims, claims adjusters. Like there's a number of people that you can just the way my mind works is that you can, right? You can talk to claim adjusters, you can talk to insurance agents, you can talk to city commission, town, you know what I'm saying? You can talk to different people on how these things impact stuff. Even some of the reasons, like stuff that Labe's in that he's involved in, right? He's a part of the sewer. What is it? Sewer,
right, sewer
sewer,
authority, and
water
then the
authority.
industrial and economic.
So right,
Yeah,
look,
but can you be an education, like, hey, when this happens to you in this town, this is who you need to seek out, almost like a format of when this happens, contact these people, and to Fresh's point, if you reach out to them and say, hey, what would you do if this happens again, right?
Right.
And be the voice of the, you know, the people in your community who are supposed to let this know, but then they don't let anybody know until it's too late almost, right?
Yeah.
How can you be like that due diligence that we've always talked about? It's like you're doing the due diligence for everyone else, and then when something goes awry, hey, talk to Rebecca. She's already talked to all these people who we need to get in touch with when something like this happens in our town. And now it's in any small business, you want to make it replicable, right? So what we're doing here in my town, if this happens all over the world, you need to get in contact with these 5, 6 people, departments, whatever it is, and create this relief or opportunity for coordination so that, you know what I mean? And not just escape routes, but like a plan to be solutions oriented for the community. And again, I know the difficult thing with that is that you don't want to capitalize on hardships or whatever. And that's where if you can be that resource, and most of the time it's even just information as to like, I don't know what to do. Well, first call your insurance company, and then they're going to tell you who you need to, because that's where you have to be careful when it comes to insurance is for the assertive people that are just going to take care of it on their own because they want to get back to normal. Okay, well, unless you document it really well, they might not buy into it until they get eyeballs on it. And so who are the adjusters? Because I know, like, we have Erie Insurance here locally in our town, and they serve the whole East Coast and maybe throughout the country. But they have adjusters that are all over the place. And again, you're at the mercy of some of these procedural things. But for a lot of people, they don't even know where to start when something like this happens. And so I think to Fresh's point, creating that network within your community so you know who to touch base with. And I think that's the other thing. In any profession, you want to be the person, the maven, who knows everything about that. And so as soon as something goes awry, they're like, well, we got to call Rebecca. She's the one who's done all the due diligence, knows all about this, and she can be a great resource. If for nothing else, to give me confidence that, hey, she's been through this. She can quell your fears of nobody's looking out for us. And I think, like I coach Callie, like if you can be that coach in waiting for when people have to go through this, and now you can help guide them. And whether it's excerpts from your book, something like that. And then my other question was, are you a ghostwriter in any way? Like Fresh kind of pointed that out. Like if there's somebody that has really good business ideas, but can't formulate it real well. And that's something that you need to be able to offer your time and ability to people that aren't real good at that.
I mean, I've been asked about that. And I've told people that I can definitely help, but because of my 12-hour work, I can't really commit to that kind of commitment.
The time that it would take for that to get done, right?
Well, but I think that's also something that you can, in all humility and honestly, just say, hey, I really don't necessarily have the time, but that's something I'm interested in possibly doing if you can, if it can take 4 weeks instead of 2 weeks. Like, I think those are the types of things where honesty is always the best policy. But if you're good at what you do, people will wait. I mean, honestly, it's
for sure. And I would ask you this. So, and I hear like, so you know how you just said like, oh, I don't have the time in your mind, or how much time does it take to help to
ghostwrite
to ghostwrite, or to do something other than what you do for the 12 hours that you have to work? What does that look like? Let's just take with ghostwriting. What do you think that looks like?
Well, I would like to be able to work a little bit on it every day, but right now I only have like maybe 2 days a week that I could commit to it, which
Right.
is fine.
No, I get that. So the time commitment is not really. I'm more asking you, in your opinion, like what does it look like? So I know if I said, if Leif said, hey man, I need help with designing something, I need help with you, I need you to consult me on how to maximize, AI with my business, right? So I and I'm bringing this up because I do having some AI background, right? And we just have an AI company my wife just built. I would know, okay, well, this is what this time looks like, right? I have an idea of what that looks like. So I could go, okay, well, for what you're asking for, I would do an audit on what he needs, and I would get an idea of what he would need, and then would say that would kind of equate to, okay, that seems like that's going to be about a 30-hour job.
Okay.
Now, what is that now? Okay, if it takes 30 hours to do that, to be able to put something to automate, put something in place. Now, if I know that that's what it takes, and I go, okay, well, I work 12 hours, I literally have maybe an hour that I could work on that 4 days a week. Now you reverse engineer that. Okay, well, that's how many days is that? How long does that take me? You're going to say, well, you tell them I could do it, but this is what it would look like. Now it's not that you can't do it. Is the only way you can do it is if this happens. So it's about, a part of it is mindset, about looking at it from a different angle. It's going, okay, well, instead of saying I can't do it, saying, well, how could I do that? I don't have a lot of time. How could I do it? And then what that does is, believe it or not, just you switching the way that you, the wording of that question, Rebecca, will change your whole mindset. The way the human mind works is crazy. It's so amazing. You pose a different question, your brain would just go, because your brain is a problem solver. It's there to just solve problems. But when you say, I can't, your brain goes, okay, that's not a problem. We've already decided what you can and can't do. You said it, so I'm not going to work on that.
Right.
I have no incentive to do that.
Well, I think it's realistically, if she's thinking, okay, I have 2 days free, so it would take a lot longer if you're basing it on the 2 days. Now, if you say, like you said, okay, if you're able to add an hour every day, and then with the 2 days free, that would make things a lot more expedient. But Rebecca, if people who have inquired about ghostwriting, are they on like a timeline? I mean, is it something that they want done fairly quickly, or is it?
No, they'll mention things, and I guess in my mind, it's not like a done deal. Like they're definitely going to do it whenever you talk, because people will say, I'm always working on a book on this, and I wish I had this or whatever. And it's like, until you put it in writing and say to me, this is what I want, then I'm thinking you're just dreaming up things that you want.
Okay,
you know
so like, you don't think they've been serious with their
exactly until someone puts it in writing? No.
Okay, so that would change things.
But part of that too is almost the idea of like working for free, meaning you get somebody that's kind of on the edge. Well, go ahead and be assertive and just put together what you think they might like to see, and just erroneously email it to them. Like they're non-committal. You kind of feel they might just be blowing smoke. So take a little bit of time, put something short together like a hook, so that when they read it, they're like,
I'd be interested to see.
Man, she really might be able to do something with this if I commit my time to her. Like she's independently committed, and I don't know if it takes 30 minutes or 3 hours, but if unsolicited, you provide your service to someone who could be a potential customer, and now they actually experience what you do and what you do well. That could be the one thing where they're like, it's not even worth me sitting down with pen and paper when I can reach out to Rebecca, give her, bullet points of what I want. And I say that because we were always not good at writing our own profiles. So we hired a copywriter, ghostwriter, whatever you want to call it, and she provided a 1-page bullet of questions. And so we would have every new agent fill that out. We'd email it, and then came back the most eloquent personal biography. I'm like, how do you do this? But they are just so skilled at writing that
Right.
if they have the most important information,
Mhm.
they can. And now, part of that, can you use ChatGPT? Maybe. But if this individual really knows and hears your story, I
Mhm.
guarantee you're better than a computer. So I think that's where if you are, a good writer and you take that and impress upon somebody that, listen,
Mhm.
I can do it a lot better than you. And these were the list of things that I need from
Right.
you to put it together. The only reason I say working for free is that they might not realize how good you really are until they see the proof of it. And so I think that's where sometimes, and I think for me, like, I enjoy videography on athletes. It
Mhm.
started with the pole vault, but when I have kids that are playing basketball, like, I like to be able to zoom in and zoom out and the
Mhm.
effects of it. Like, whereas, no, if I was at a track meet and the mother held the phone just at the pole vault pit, right? So they jump. Whereas I take it and I zoom in on the runway and kind of zoom out and pan. It's just like, well, I want to do it the best that I can possibly do it. And I want
Yeah.
somebody to watch me video and be like, dude, how'd you do that? Like, well, I just focused on, if I was being videoed, this is what I would want it to look like. So
Right.
I try to put myself in that position and say the old golden rule. Like, this is how I would want it done for me. So I'm going to try to
Mhm.
do that. And if somebody says, wow, that's awesome,
Right.
then run with it. If they're like, dude, I kind of like just okay, you catered to your clients to a certain extent. But when you know more than the general public, that's when you can impress upon them some of those little bits that add value to you.
Mhm. Mhm.
And there's 700 real estate agents in Erie, their market. I know no one is like me. I have two brothers that are in the market too, but we're still very different. And so a client that knows me, I hope, wants to work with me because I am a little bit different and I'm
Mhm.
unique in ways that other agents are not. And anybody that has used me or knows me realizes that added value to, if you hire me, I'm going to do the due diligence. I'm going to do the
Right.
follow up. I'm going to do the communication thing. So I think that's where, when you just bring out your absolute best and impress that on people when they weren't expecting it, especially,
Mhm.
that's how you start creating raving fans, because it's like the individual's like, well, I wanted her to ghostwrite. I kind of spit some ideas at her, and then, the next day or the next week, she put something together that I didn't even ask her to do. But
Right.
anytime I need this, there's nobody else I'm going to turn to but Rebecca. And so now somebody else that they're at the coffee shop says, well, I'm looking for a ghostwriter at the booth behind her. And she's like, hey, you got to reach out to
Yeah.
Rebecca. It's
And
how it can work. And Fresh was talking about that manifestation of things.
Mhm.
You become what you think about. So you
Yeah.
have to say, hey, this opportunity. And it reminded me, I think it was the Players Championship this weekend, the golf tournament.
yeah,
The guy, and I can't remember the guy who won it, but he had to make an incredible shot. And I think what he said to his caddy was, hey, I just have to hit the absolute best shot of my life right now. Yeah. And guess what he did? He hit the absolute best shot of his life and won it. Like, again, it goes back to what Fresh was saying. You have to believe it before you can get anybody else to believe it. You got to put the
Right.
oxygen mask off first before you can help others. I mean,
Yeah.
it is something where if you have that belief and I might be, knocked off track or off course here and there, but my focus is so intent that I have to achieve what I'm setting out for. And it just doesn't leave room for that negative
Mhm.
energy or talk. So I hope, you can find other opportunities, because obviously you're passionate about it. And I think that's where, when you can get enough opportunities to where you can leave that full-time gig to do what you really love,
Yeah.
that's when it just, you become unstoppable, right? Because you realize that doesn't matter what somebody throws in my way, hurdle, I will clear it and get it done. So I'm excited for you, Rebecca, and
and
again,
Rebecca, for ghostwriting, is that something that would be more lucrative than writing and self-publishing yourself? There's
I'm
not as much
sure.
overhead that goes into it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sure it would, because you would, quote a price for the time and
Right.
all that, and it would be a done deal. Whereas with self-publishing, it's like a luck of the draw if someone decides to buy your book or or whatever. So yeah, I'm spending a lot of time. Well, I don't want to say wasting a lot of time, but I'm spending a lot of time trying to make pennies versus if I had something more solid like ghostwriting, that would be a definite income. So
And
yeah.
here's
Well, and
also
go ahead.
Here's also a suggestion to kind of add to what Laban was saying. So, in terms of you, like, you always want to try to prepare yourself. Like, we always prepared ourselves for our best opponent, right? You're going to prepare yourself for your best opponent. So, you want to think about who your ideal client would be. Like, all right, I would love to be able to write for somebody that, you know, like you're getting prepared for somebody who is potentially can have a, you know, New York Times bestseller, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to kind of look at what does that client profile look like, build that out, and then go find that client. Like, it's not like believe it or not, like or at least like that could just be a side quest. But you put something together where, you know what, I'm looking to hopefully get a big fish or hit a home run at some point. But in the meantime, you can have something put together, or this is what a single looks like, a double, a triple. But then the home run, grand slam will be this big client. But you need to look like this is what it would ideally look like. Or you just tell yourself, and just like how you tell yourself other things, and it will manifest itself, you're going to say, look, I'm going to work with a client that has a endless budget. They spare no expense because of the work, the quality of work they want done. They will value my feedback and opinion and encourage me to help them push their limits. Like, you just lay out all these things and you speak it and you write it. Like, this is what this client looks like. This is what this client is. And you write this stuff down and you read it, look at it, manifest it, and it will come to pass. It's just that you just have to, that's where the mindset has to be. And what will happen is it eventually will happen. And what could be crazy, how it could happen, that same client you're talking about could be the same person that you do a bio for, right? Because this is a bunch of stuff. You could just start doing bios, like how Laban mentioned. You could do bios for people. You do a bio for someone, and it morphs to that was one of your first clients. But then 4 or 5 years later, now this client you never knew this client had this story to tell that everybody loves, or just so happened, you know, Gayle King happened to take a look at it, and we know who Gayle King's best friend is, and all of a sudden it's on right. Right. So, and then all of a sudden, you know, you find your work on the O network. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where you have to manifest it, put yourself in position, lay it out. This is what my ideal client looks like. Write their profile out. And
I know what I want. For me, the ideal is that I want my Hurricane Helene book in high schools and colleges. That's what I want. And so I have sent out free copies to, you know, people like my alumni and, you know, high school and things like that, because I want people to use it as an education piece.
But man,
go ahead.
Here's the thing. That's what you want. And there's nothing wrong with you wanting that. But for you to get what you want, you gotta give someone else what they want or they need. You got to provide somebody else with something, because the somebody else, they want either assistance, they want a compelling story. You got to provide something that someone else wants, or you find your book provides what someone else wants. You have to look at the things and find out what other people want, because that's how we have successes, by helping other people and people paying us to do it. That's how it works. You got to help somebody else, and they will pay you. They will gladly pay you for helping them. So once you do that, then by default, you will help yourself do all of the things that you want to do. But you got to help somebody else first, and it's going to come back to you like tenfold. That's just how it works.
Well, I thought writing Hurricane Helene was helping the community, because there are a lot of people who didn't know what was going on. So, you know, I captured all the true stories and all that. So in my mind, I sacrificed my mental health and my financial stability to write this book, to provide this book. And I feel like I'm not asking that much for it to be offered in colleges or high school.
No,
Yeah.
I agree.
So, but what's the process to get it in there? What's the process to get it into college?
I don't have any
There you
idea.
go. So that's how you help the people. So you got to start doing that. Okay. And we just went through, like, you don't understand. Like, you just got little tidbits and pieces that laid out, and some of the stuff that I said. You can get in front of people that your book can be a resource to help people understand on this is how they dealt with this traumatic event, because we already went over it. It's a recurring event. Yep. If you put yourself in position to be a part of the resources that people who go through this traumatic experiences have, it will come to pass. Then it'll get to a point to where it's that important that people just say, hey, you have to have this. This is something that any town or any place that has, that experiences hurricanes, they need to have you as a resource. Right. But you got to put yourself out there, to put yourself in that position and find out that this is the people that need it.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I'm sitting here just thinking, because as soon as you said you wanted in schools and colleges, I know a girl that I went to school with in middle school, high school. She went to Stanford University. She worked there's a company in Erie, and I can't think of it, but they publish like school literature. And as I'm looking at her page, and she's involved with all sorts of documentaries and different things where I think, again, you get yourself around people like that, and to Fresh and Steve's point, in some of those circles, and they this is our second show. I never knew you wanted that book in schools necessarily. Like that to me changed the whole thing. Like, now find some administrators, especially in those areas where, like, we all talk about learning the history, especially of your local area and how it's told. But that sounds like a great way. And obviously anybody in that area, if it's recurring, should be aware of what could come to pass and how you can help alleviate that. But, and I think that comes from Fresh's point of really start to get specific about what you want to do and who you want to, expose your talents to. And that more narrow focus becomes, the more likely it is to hit your target, right? It's the old aim small, miss small. And I think, again, even Earl Nightingale says, if there's a ship with knowing directing, it's just going to hang out in the harbor. But if you put both hands on the wheel and guide it and direct it, you know exactly where you're going to go. So, no, that's great. And I think, again, you clearly have the ability to help others see things from your perspective. And I think that's very insightful and very helpful to a lot of people, especially, again, if it's something that happens throughout the country and even world, then create some resources or opportunities where, when that tragic, thing happens, they turn to you as one of the experts for how to mitigate and how to handle these types of challenges. And, if you have the resource, or at least the outline of what to do in those circumstances, having like Coach Rapone used to always say, don't panic, we have a plan.
Yes.
And most people panic because they have no idea what to do when something like that happens.
Right.
So if you can format a plan of sorts, so somebody's like, hey, listen, I know Rebecca said when this is coming down, we get notified, this is what we got to start doing. And it could be everything from, I think about stuff like that, to where all your important documents and things in your home, like, what do you have everything in a space so that you can quickly acquire it, retrieve it, and the most precious of things, because that's where I can only imagine for so many people, that's the challenge. They literally lost everything. And trying to rebuild compounds the fact that they don't have any memories to go off of at this point. So there's clearly a lot of value you can add to a number of people and their experiences. And so I hope you can continue to figure out, be it through marketing or just networking, it's always your network is your net worth, and I think that's the best way, is to surround yourself with like-minded people that are going to encourage you and create opportunities. And I think, like Steve said, it just takes one person
Right.
for you to impact. Now opens the door to so many things that you never anticipated.
You're one relationship away. One relationship away.
We'll continue to promote your website and the book. We did post in both of the groups that Fresh sent me, among others, and it was very popular, the post. And we will
make sure you join those groups. You're on Facebook, right?
I'm joined to those groups.
No, I'm talking about her.
Yeah, I got to get her to join them. I'll invite her to join.
Yes.
But yeah, there's several author books. There's Black author books, Black author to Black author groups, Facebook groups. So they're excellent, and they always post anything I send them. I send them our stuff too. So that'll be a good way. But we'll continue to keep working on it.
You'd also ask me to work on an ad.
Well, yeah, I want you to.
I have a script. I asked ChatGPT, and I have a script. I just have to take the time to learn the script in order to do it.
Well, I think talk to Nedvonne as well. Nedvonne can help you put together a little script so we can record an ad, and then I would put in probably a couple of the clips that we got out of it. You had several of your clips had high viewership, so I would put that in. I'm gonna send your clips to those two websites that he gave me as well. So I haven't sent those out to them, but the clips are really good, and the clips are what a lot of people watch on YouTube, and that's what gets people to watch the long form podcast. So that'll be good.
Yeah, but so you know, we were talking about Hurricane Helene, and I was I guess I was reliving it. And it's like my hands were sweating, and I was
I was
like so anxious, because I was like, why am I feeling these things? Because it's in the past,
it's a
right?
Trauma response.
But it was just kind of like bringing it back up.
It's always with you. It's always with you. But no, you're doing a fantastic job. We're gonna work on getting more books sold. We'll get some traffic driven to your website. I think that's the biggest thing we can do with the ads, is get the traffic driven to your website, so people can purchase the books. People can learn more about you. There is a radio station and show in Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm friendly with the owner. He has a show called Unity in the Community. I think you would be great as a guest on his show. And we have a show around here. So I think just, again, the biggest thing is raising awareness, because it's a phenomenal book. It's just people need to know more about it.
Yes.
So what we can do, raising awareness and doing it organically, and just, having a friend repost the post that we had about your book.
Yes.
That organically helps it to spread, and that organically helps the algorithm in YouTube. So it'll get it in front of more people. But we will continue to do that.
Thank you.
And Nedvonne, did Razul call you yet?
Oh yeah, we spoke probably about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay. So he should be calling you sooner, because they're going on their little summit for the Husky Investment Group, and they're trying to put in like a hierarchy of how to do things, because there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. So buying property and where they want to go with it,
Erie,
they need help. And Laban, if you get a chance, I know that you called my friend. She couldn't talk at the time.
Oh yeah.
If she said she tried calling you back. If you still have her number,
yes, I do.
Please give her a call.
I will,
because it's about her father's house and her mother's house.
Her mother, yeah.
And it's just because of hearing from you and Nedvonne about real estate and this thing being on the market over a year, like everything's doing so many things wrong. So
yeah, I will reach out. Yep, I did get in contact.
You did, yeah. Just give her some advice. And I had talked to Sam to see if Sam would want to sell it or do something with it, and I think he called too.
Okay.
But I just want to help her out because they're in a tough position right now.
That's what we're here for.
All right. Well, Rebecca Wells Phillips, www.RebeccaWellsPhillips.com is her website. Boo Black, Rachel Blue are some of her pen names. Hating Self, Dragonfly, what's the rest of it?
Passion.
Passion.
It's coming out, but Butterfly Blossoms is already out.
By the 10th episode, I'll get it. And then of course, Hurricane Helene was the first book written in her own name. So you can check out her website. It tells you everything about her, all the books that she's written, the 4 big books, and the future projects we're excited about. Fresh, Nedvonne Young, entrepreneur extraordinaire, FreshFold Laundy Co, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and Laban Marsh, Jesus.
Laban Young.
Laban's Young, yeah.
My brother from another mother.
Yeah, the king of real estate, Erie, Pennsylvania. I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back at life.